welcome to the LeggLife podcast. My name is Adam.
My name is Sherry.
Sherry Beth, what episode is this?
145.
It is 145, and it is also, currently as we're recording this, Friday, December 6th. Many of you will be listening on Saturday, December 7th, in the lead up to the holiday season. Well, not even the lead up. I mean, we are in the
holiday season.
The lead up to Christmas, we are for sure in the holiday season. And the thing we're going to be talking about today, it's not exclusive to the holidays. I actually think this is applicable year-round.
Yeah.
It feels heightened during the holidays.
Yeah.
The reality is that a season that is supposed to be about peace on earth and goodwill to men and women, a lot of times is filled with fighting, bickering, hurt, pain, unmet expectations, broken relationships, tension. You know what I mean? And so it's like you get through what is supposed to be this beautiful, peaceful, loving season, and it's like you just want to murder, you know?
Or just crawl in a hole and hide.
And we have seen this in a lot of people's lives where the holidays can bring out a lot of difficulties. And we just thought that kind of leading up to this, we would just take a few minutes tonight here in our studio and sit down and make this week's episode just sort of a reminder for all of us about some ways to approach the holiday season, perhaps to limit or to lessen the amount of pain and hurt that could happen.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be not a single person who listens to this who can't relate to something in here.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is applicable in if it's not your family, it's your friend group. If it's not your friend group, it's your old friend group. It's no longer your friend group because they hurt your feelings last Christmas. You know what I mean? Like it's somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the first thing we want to talk about is just holding traditions with open hands.
Yeah. This is something that I think we've actually talked about on a podcast before. I think we actually made a podcast kind of specific to traditions and that kind of stuff. But 21 years into our relationship and
not our marriage,
19 years into our marriage, but we were together a couple years before that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have I feel like we had for a while, we had certain traditions that we did every year, and then we weren't in town. And so we didn't do those because we weren't home to do them. And so we were like, well, I guess we're not doing them this year. And, I feel like that's actually good. I feel like that kind of forced us to be like, so what is truly important to us on this day or during this season or whatever?
I think the way we even said it during that podcast was that our tradition is the fact that we really don't have traditions.
As long as we're together.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I want to be with Adam, but
there's a lot of Christmases that we're not home. We're traveling. You guys will remember for a long time we would do Chinese food on Christmas Day. We've given up on that a little bit. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. Doesn't matter.
Right.
And so part of that is that one of the things that we've seen is the hurt and the pain that can come from when somebody doesn't uphold their end of a tradition.
Right.
It's like we're holding them to the expectation of like, nope, this is what we do. And it's like, okay, but what about when we don't want to do that anymore?
Or when it doesn't serve its purpose as well anymore.
Yeah, it's okay for traditions to like end.
Yeah.
That just to keep them going just because it is unfair to people. Mm-hmm. And so I think traditions are something you need to hold with an open hand. And such a good example of this is literally today. One of the things that we've done with your siblings is, because exchanging gifts is one thing when you're younger. Mm-hmm. But as you get older, I don't know, I actually think it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I think that it can be fun, but so what happened today is my sister texted our sibling group, which includes the three of us kids and our spouses. And she just said, what's the plan for Christmas, gift exchange this year? And Adam and I talked about it, and we were kind of like, the thing is, we're all in our 40s. We all have profitable jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We none of us have anything that we want or need,
Which
I
very
mean,
fortunate to be able to say that.
right. And so the gift exchange is fun, but it's also like more stuff and more added busy to an already busy season. And it's just, so I texted back and I was like, well, we have a couple of options. We can, exchange names like we have
Because for a number of years, we've done basically the same tradition for a,
a
a,
long time.
a decade
Yeah,
plus.
where we draw names.
There's
And
5 of us, and so we kind of put names in a random name generator, and it's like I get, I get Eric, Sherry's brother Ben gets me, Sherry gets, you know what I mean? It's like we all kind of just like move around. But we've done that for every year.
a long time. Yeah, and so we can draw names, or I forget how I phrased it, but like basically exchange sentiments instead of gifts.
I loved that when you said that in text.
And we all love each other, and I think that if we send a text or even a FaceTime or something on Christmas Day and just hey, I love you and I'm glad you're in my life, I think that is gift enough.
Yeah. Well, and here's the reality of it is that now that we're adults, 365 days as we are going through life, when you see something that you think your sister would love, you would just get it for her and send it.
Yeah.
If we came across something that reminded us of Ben, it was like, oh, this is totally Ben, we would just get it and send it.
Yeah, I saw something at the state fair that I was like, oh, my sister needs this, and so I bought it. And then when she was up here in October, I was like, here, like it that kind of stuff. Like I don't know that we need to make a special day of it.
And as you get older and like just getting gifts and giving gifts at Christmas just changes. I think it's okay for traditions to change.
Yeah.
And so to be able to say, hey, like let's not do what we've done for a decade plus. You guys know we love you. We know that you love us. On Christmas, let's talk and just like remind each other of that. But like, we don't need an Amazon gift card.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's true. Like, we don't. And I think that's okay. And one of the gifts that does is it saves everybody time. Now, they don't have to figure out like, oh, crap, I got to buy a gift. I got to go to the post office. I've got to get it mailed. I've got to make sure it's there by December 27th because we're doing like a family Zoom call on the 27th. We got to open gift. You know what I mean? It's like you also give them the gift of time by not having to do this.
Yeah, and so I sent that text, and pretty quickly my brother was like, option 2. I'm good with option 2.
Yeah, let's do that, please. And then your sister was like, yep, let's do that.
Yep, I like that one. So, yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do think that it's one of those traditions that, again, we're all in our 40s. None of us need anything. And, I think it's okay.
And to be honest
to
with
let that go.
I agree, I completely agree. And I would rather take that money and the next time that we're back in Indiana or the next time one of them visits us, like whatever money we were going to use on gifts, this is going to sound horrible. If I think back over the last decade, I can think of a few gifts I've gotten in the gift exchange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
but you know what I do remember?
What?
When we were back there last year, all 5 of us going to get tattoos together.
Going to get tattoos together.
Yep.
100. That is the perfect illustration.
Yeah.
Like, let's put our money to the things that like we will really remember and value.
And experience.
Experience.
We can always say we went and got tattoos together, and that was a blast.
I love that. That's exactly right, Sherry. So it's okay for tradition to change. Now, here's the challenge I have. For some of you who are listening, you're just like you almost feel anxiety rising in you at the thought of a changing tradition.
Yeah. Breaking tradition.
This requires all of us to hold a mirror up in front of our face and to say, man, have I actually been causing harm in my family? Or have I been causing harm in my relationship with my friends by so pushing on tradition that I'm actually hurting relationship? That people are coming away with the thought that a gift exchange is more important than people.
Right.
Like, I mean, that sounds harsh, but like 100% that can be the feeling.
Than the actual relationship between the people.
And so I just think like for all of us, it's a good reminder that during this Christmas season when, people who have been around our table for 30 years are not there because they decided to do something different. Or, somebody who always shows up to the white elephant decided not to be there this year. Different things when traditions are broken or there's people that are missing. Let's remember to respond in a peace on earth and goodwill toward men way, rather than like anxiety or stress or anger or rage.
Right. And, give yourself grace to break traditions that you think maybe need to be broken. Give
Oh,
everyone
can I,
around you.
can I ask you a question about that before you move on? Because growing up, like, I mean, your family had way more traditions than mine did. We've never been a very traditional family as far as like, oh, we always have to, do this. Um, and you and I have talked about how, I want to say strange that was when you moved to Alaska and like some of the traditions weren't there.
Yeah.
What was that like for you when you gave yourself permission to be like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to look this way?
Um, yeah, so I mean, honestly, the first couple of years it was weird because I was just like, the past 22 years of my life, this has been what Christmas morning has looked like, or what Christmas Eve has looked like, or whatever. And so it was weird at first, and I think that there was kind of a sense of loss in some of that. But I think that it was also, for you and I to be able to like create kind of our own traditions and kind of start like, okay, so what is important to us on this day? And what do we want it to look like, because this is our show now. It's you and me. And so like, what are we going to do? And I think that it was probably, honestly 2 or 3 or 4 years into our relationship before it was like, okay, I think it's okay that my Christmases don't look like they always did.
Yeah. We get to decide what our Christmases are and what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed the freedom in that. I mean, to be able to go into the holiday season and be like, "Oh my God, if we came across a crazy airfare that put us on a beach somewhere at Christmas, we would just book it and go."
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I actually
Yeah.
really love that we're not tied to a specific place. And because of that, when I think of our Christmases, I have the most amazing memories because I think of waking up in Seattle. I
A
think of
couple of
like
times.
I guess right. I think of spending it at Disneyland. I
Yeah.
think of like all of the different like
Also a couple of times.
yeah, like super random Christmases that we've had that to me were just I have such good memories because we dared to not be tied to a specific thing.
Yeah. It wasn't like, well, we have to be home on December 25th or else, all hell breaks loose.
As long as we're together.
As long as we're together, it's just that is the one thing that to me is so important. But honestly, if something happened and you had a work trip or you had, something, or I had to be somewhere or whatever, and we weren't able to be together on Christmas Day, we would make it up another time. Like, and that's the thing is like, it's, December 25th isn't even Jesus' birthday. So it's like,
What? What?
why do we hold this tradition so hard? It's really just a day, and we can celebrate Christmas together whenever it is we're together.
That's actually something that we hadn't talked about before this. And you saying that just made me I had this feeling of gratitude and appreciation because what you said is so true. If I came to you and I was like, Sherry, like there's a work operation and I have to be gone over Christmas. Of course there's like
I
loss
would
that we
be
couldn't, we'd be sad, but like you would not,
I wouldn't be like, nope, you're not going.
or you wouldn't like make me feel like crap for going.
Right.
Or you would, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be like, well, I guess Christmas is ruined.
Right.
Like we would just be okay, so you'll be home the 28th and we'll celebrate then.
Right. Exactly.
And I had never really thought of that because we've always been together on Christmas. But I love the fact that even thinking about if we weren't, that's fine.
It's okay.
That's okay.
It's gonna be okay.
That's actually one of the gifts I think that like I think my mom is a good example of this. So she's always said, even when she lived up here or when she retired to go to Colorado, that we'll celebrate Christmas whenever you're here.
Right.
If you're here on December 2nd, guess what? We're having Thanksgiving and Christmas. that like it doesn't matter the day. I mean,
We
for
had Thanksgiving on June 20th.
that's what I was literally just going to say. We celebrated Thanksgiving
On her birthday.
we celebrated Thanksgiving in the summer
Right.
because that's when we were there.
Yeah.
And that there's such a freedom in that to not feel tied to a specific thing because
Specific day.
and this actually leads me into sort of the part 2 of this episode, which has to do with expectations.
Yeah.
Because if there's an expectation that it's like, I got to be there on Thanksgiving Day. Here's what I know. It's the most expensive time to travel, right? And so there's like added financial
Because
stress.
everybody's traveling.
Because everybody's traveling. Because it's the busiest travel time, there's canceled flights, there's chaos. And so now we've added additional stress to that, all to meet the expectation that I have to be in a specific time and place on a specific day.
Right.
Rather than saying like, actually, you know what? Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it actually gets kind of dead. What if we just like met then?
Right.
Which we've done with family a few times.
Well, even last year, I'm thinking, last November, we went down to Indiana.
That's right.
And we celebrated Thanksgiving a week before Thanksgiving because traveling the week of Thanksgiving was way too expensive for us. And
Yep.
so we went down the week before.
That's right.
And, it was great. Like, we still got to celebrate Thanksgiving. We just did it early.
And you know what's funny? When I think of Thanksgiving last year, I forget that we weren't actually there on Thanksgiving because we had Thanksgiving with your family.
Right. And my mom and sister's birthday is right around there. And so we celebrated their birthdays while we were down there, not on their birthday because we weren't there on their birthday.
Yeah.
But we were there the week before. And so, it's just that kind of stuff that's like, I don't think that the day itself is what's important. It's the thought behind it.
And I think that that's where like expectation, thinking about what is the expectation that I am holding to others to.
Yeah.
And am I holding them to my expectation? Because here's the reality, and I'll be very honest with you guys. I approach the holidays, no, not even holidays, I approach life. And the person that is my number one priority is Sherry. And the reality is if Sherry has a need or if Sherry has like an opinion or a preference, that trumps literally anybody else. And so I was going to say, and so for me, if there's an expectation that is on Sherry, but that is not fair for her, like we are not going to choose the expectation. We're going to choose her.
Well, and so I was gonna in that light, there have been Thanksgiving days or Christmas days or birthdays or special holidays of some kind where my chronic pain is like, no, ma'am, not today, and I don't know until I wake up, and and it's like, well, all right, everything we had planned today is canceled because I'm in too much pain to go.
And so we've had to cancel on friends and group Thanksgivings and like different events because exactly of that.
Yeah, and. And I appreciate that you're just like, nope, well then we're not going.
But here's the thing.
It's never like, well, suck it up, Buttercup, like you're going anyway.
No, because the expectation, I just think that one of the areas that we have failed as humanity is expecting other people to live up to whatever expectation I have put on them.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, how dare you wake up feeling in pain? I've planned so much to have this perfect Thanksgiving and you're going to back out? Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And and so I think
and I'm gonna feel bad about it, but I'm also not because I have to listen to myself, right?
And so the thing is that none of us, and we've learned this a lot with close friends relationships, none of us know the full story and the full picture of what's happening in the lives of those around us. And so when somebody pulls back from something or backs out of something or decides to do something different, number one, they don't owe me an explanation of that at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't owe me a thing. They can call and say, hey, I know we're supposed to be there on Thanksgiving. We're actually not gonna be able to be there today. And that's enough.
And honestly, I think that's kind of what we have said before. Like when we have had to cancel, we don't go into every detail about why. We're just like, hey, we're not going to make it today. Sorry.
Yeah. And so I think like giving people space for their lives to happen because, and we all hate this, I am not everybody's priority.
What?
I know. It's shocking.
You're mine.
Thank you. That's very sweet. And you're mine. But the reality is like other people, it would be unfair for me to think that you are their priority.
Right.
Right. Or that I am their priority. And so I think that what we need to do, all of us, this is another one of those hold the mirrors up, is that when something happens during the holiday season and it is an expectation that I had, whether good or bad, whatever, that somebody else might have broken or might not have lived up to, we have the grace with them that we would want them to have with us if we had to do the same thing.
Right.
That we might not know the whole story, we might not know the whole picture, and you know what? You don't get to.
Right.
Like, welcome to life. And so, like, what we do is we extend grace and compassion and kindness, and we go on and we eat our turkey,
Right.
or we unwrap our presents. And so I just think that so much. I think of families I've worked with around the holidays where just it blows up and it gets so bad and so nasty. And this season that is supposed to be loving and caring and all of that, it's like, well, how can I have a good Christmas now because so and so's not going to be there? It's like, no, you can still if
Right.
if you can't have a good Christmas because so and so's not going to be there, that's actually a very unhealthy attachment on your part.
Right.
Like that, there's some unhealth in that. And so what do? We hold up the mirror and we say, man, I'm really bummed they're not going to be here. Like, I feel lost about that. I feel sadness about that.
And that's okay. You are allowed to feel your feelings.
Completely. And that's okay. And like, but they don't have to explain to me. I don't have to know the full thing. And I am still going to choose to believe that this is a season that I want to go through with peace on earth and goodwill to men.
Right. And and I'm also thinking like the Advent, it's joy and peace and
Hope
and love.
Yep.
Like that is what this season is supposed to be about. And if you can't find joy and peace and hope and love in your actions or in the actions of others around you, something's wrong.
And I think that it's interesting that you just said that, Sherry, because it actually makes me want to. So one of the things that I've been working on for a number of years is an Advent devotional. It's something that
He's writing.
I'm writing. I wanted to finish this year, but life stuff happened. So it'll probably be a next year project to finish. But it's interesting because if we were honest, if we held up that mirror and we said, Advent tells me that what I'm supposed to focus on is hope, joy, peace, and love. But take an honest look. What are the actual candles that you light during the holiday season? For many of us, it would be stress and anxiety or frustration or unmet expectations. Or we light the candle of loss and grief and pain. And those are the things that we actually focus on and that we give our energy and our attention to. And I think it's no wonder that this is a season that so many of us approach with dread because the candles we light are things that are just so miserable.
Yeah.
And so we are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, you guys.
And, I will say, so there was a several year period where I did dread this whole season. And, we had 8,000 Christmas parties to go to. And we had, it was so busy. And, on top of our full-time jobs and other things that we were doing. And it was just like, I don't have time for this, but I have to make time for this because it's expected. And it's, and it was just like, mid-November, I want to crawl in a hole and I want to hide into the middle of January. Can I just do that?
100%.
And that's not a healthy thing, I don't know. And so it is nice that we scaled way back on the amount of things that we can commit to. And, every party invite, every whatever, we have a discussion. Where are we at on it? Do we want to go? Do we not?
So you guys, a lot of what we're talking about in this episode is exactly from this season that Sherry was talking about, where we felt like it's the expectation.
Yeah.
There was an expectation on us because here's the thing. We don't have kids. Our calendars were pretty free. We were invited to.
So people thought.
Well, that's the thing. So people thought. And so it's like December was filled not with the things that brought us joy, hope, peace, and love, but with checking boxes for other people. And we would get to the end of the year, the end of the month, and we would basically fall across New Year's exhausted, dragging ourselves into the new year.
Do I have to do another year?
and so we approached this whole season with fear and trembling.
Yeah.
Because it was just the most exhausting month for us.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It was the most exhausting month because we spent the season focused on thinking that what we had to do was meet other people's expectations.
Right.
oh my God, what if we say no to their Christmas party? We've gone to their Christmas party 6 years in a row. Like, we brought the best white elephant gift last year. We have to, like, match that this year. And so we have to go to that.
Match or exceed.
We have to match or exceed. That's exactly right. And it's like, well, these friends got divorced. And so now he has his own Christmas party and she has hers. And we can't go to one and not the other. So we have to go to his Christmas party on Friday and hers on Saturday. And then we have to, like, that's what it was.
Right.
And it was, we never went into December having the conversation of being like, what does hope, peace, joy, and love look like for us this month?
Yeah.
We went into it saying, like, how can we keep the most people happy with us?
Right. And it's just not a healthy way to live.
It's not a healthy way to live.
And it's not a happy way to live.
And I will say, you and I experienced a lot of guilt when we started saying no to everything.
Yeah, there was a season where we did pull back from literally everything that we were doing aside from our paying jobs. Because we were completely burnt out. And we were just like, nope, we're not available. Nope, we're not available. Because we needed time to be.
And there were people who extended lots of grace to us in that season. There were people who genuinely didn't understand, like, who felt like we just abandoned
them. Yeah.
You know, but here's the thing, I'm not responsible for that.
Right.
You know, it's like for the first time we were actually putting ourselves first and actually caring about ourselves, not the expectations of others. And so I don't know, I just think that.
And I think, I mean, sometimes the healthiest thing to do is to say no.
Oh my gosh, especially in this season.
You just hit your microphone with my water. Yeah, like I think the healthiest and the most peaceful and the most loving for yourself and your family that you can do is to just say no.
So here's my challenges to you. This is my Pastor Adam challenge. Okay, I don't put on Pastor Adam's hat.
Pastor Adam's
I don't put on Pastor Adam's hat very much anymore. Mostly, I'm not a pastor anymore. I got defrocked. Not really. I just love saying that. When people are like, "Why aren't you a pastor?" I'm like, "I got defrocked." It's like I don't even know what that means.
No, but it sounds funny.
There's two challenges in this I want to give to us and to you. Number one, we got like, 3 weeks left, 2 weeks left till Christmas. What would it look like for you? What would you need to get rid of, or what would you need to add for the next 3 weeks leading to Christmas to be filled with like love, joy, hope, and peace? To actually light those candles and not light the candles of expectations, of all of that kind of stuff, right? Of stress, of anxiety, of all of that, carrying the weight of other people's expectations this season. So that's the first thing. Like, what do you need to add, but also what would you need to take away? And then number two is a little bit more personal in that when you look in the mirror, where are the relationships that you have not been as understanding, or you have not been as grace-filled, or you have just maybe been harsh to people in a way that you shouldn't be? And be honest about that. And here's the thing, that doesn't mean you just call and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I've been such an ass, like that kind of stuff. Sometimes it means just saying, you know what, they obviously have a lot going on right now, and in the new year, I'm going to send them a text message when we get through the craziness of the season.
Yeah.
You know, and just reminds like, hey, love you, don't know what's going on, but just want you to know that whenever you're ready, I'm here for you.
Right.
And so I think take an honest look at your own life with what are the candles you've been lighting? You know, what are the candles you've been lighting? Sure, I love that illustration because I think that most of us in Advent, in this season leading to Christmas, if we're honest, it's not love, joy, hope, and peace.
Right. Even if we're going through, an Advent devotional, it's like check every day, and then you go right back to your anger and stress and anxiety and unmet expectations.
And then really looking in the mirror about, okay, so how am I doing with other people in that?
Right.
You know, here's the thing, this Christmas, what if I really, really would have loved the gift exchange with your siblings? Like, and the text message comes through and all of you are like, nah, let's just exchange sentiments instead of gifts. But I was like, yeah, but I freaking love gifts. It's like I would have had.
I do really love gifts.
What's that?
I mean, I do really love
You
gifts.
do really love gifts. But it's like I would have had the option to be like, you know what? I'm going to dig my heels in. I'm going to be a real jerk that we're ending this tradition.
Right.
Or to say, you know what? It's actually okay that this ends. Mm-hmm. It's okay that things change. And so, I don't know. I think that to make the holidays a better season for all of us, it takes us changing our actions, and it takes us being more kind and gracious and understanding to the actions of other people.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's good. Can I read my little stupid quote?
Oh, from your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so
So
funny.
it just made me laugh, and I texted it to Adam. So I was reading a book last week. I think I finished it, and one of the quotes in there is, I heard somewhere that tradition is just peer pressure from dead people.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me laugh. And you brought up the point, you're like, and sometimes from people that are still alive.
Oh, yeah.
It's just peer pressure. And sometimes, I think that there are some traditions that are good. But I think that all traditions should be held with an open hand.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
If for whatever reason they don't work out, the world's not going to end. It's going to be okay. Give yourself grace to break a tradition. Give everyone around you the grace to break a tradition if needed.
Start some new traditions.
Do something different. Do something fun.
Maybe you'll like Chinese food on Christmas Day.
Maybe you'll hate it.
I was just going to say,
this is
maybe
the
you'll
worst
hate it.
thing ever. I'm never doing it again. That's okay too.
You tried. You tried. And there's another Christmas.
Yeah.
And you have an amazing story.
Right.
You know?
We have a lot of amazing stories from our really crappy Chinese food on Christmas Day.
Some of it has been truly horrible.
Sure.
And you know the funny thing is that those actually are the stories that, looking back now, I remember the most.
Same.
Like, I remember the worst of the Chinese buffets.
Yeah, and driving around town and just trying to find anything that's open, and that's how we settled on Chinese, because it was literally the only thing that was open.
And it was one of the worst buffets we've ever had in our life.
Yeah.
And you guys,
And we went back.
for probably 2 hours on Christmas Day, we sat and we laughed so hard, and we had so much fun, and we
Yes,
got
we
to
did.
enjoy each other. And it was just like, we could have been pissed off that, like, this isn't what a Christmas Day dinner is supposed to be like. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't you go shopping before? Why didn't we have food? Why didn't we plan? Why didn't all of
But
this
you know
kind of
what?
stuff?
We were together,
We were together,
and we made a memory.
and we only got mild food poisoning. And so, no, I'm just kidding. We actually
We didn't
didn't.
get well.
We
We
didn't.
didn't get any food poisoning. In fact, I mean, we hated it / loved it so much that we did it again the next year.
We did do it again
We
the
did it again the next year.
You know what's really funny?
And it became a tradition because it was just like, this is the worst thing ever. Let's keep doing it.
How often have we gone back to that buffet outside of Christmas Day?
Never once.
Isn't that hilarious? You would think that it's like, wow, you go there on Christmas Day. It must be really good. No, it's so bad that we only go there on Christmas Day. Because we get to have so much fun.
Yeah.
And we laugh at the fact that their soft serve ice cream machine, the ice cream's always melted. And so I get this cup of, like, liquid vanilla water. You guys,
It's so bad, but it's I don't know.
if we wouldn't have been willing to hold traditions with an open hand, we would not have had all of those memories. And I'm so thankful that we do.
And the thing is, like, we were disappointed. We were driving around town, and I don't remember why we didn't have something planned that day. I don't remember.
So we didn't plan ahead. And I think that it was because it was still back when I was on staff at a church. Christmas Eve was always like so many services.
Oh, yeah.
We were so exhausted, and we didn't plan ahead. And we just simply did not have, like, you know how sometimes you have ingredients in your house, but not like stuff to make a meal?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Like, we
Yeah.
had random things, but we did not have a meal in the house.
Yeah. So we were like, well, we'll just drive and see what's open. And we drove all over town, and, like, nothing was open. And, we were disappointed, and we were like, grocery stores aren't even open. Like, we're going to go home and have cereal. Like, that's going to be our option. And then we drove past, and we were like, oh, there's a Chinese buffet that's open. I mean, that's terrible, but let's do it.
And it has started some of our favorite stories in almost 20 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Because we were willing to hold it with an open hand.
Yep.
Wow, we got off topic.
Yeah, we did, but I think that's okay. And,
I would argue that's one of our traditions.
You're not wrong, my love.
Not being able to stay on topic.
That's true. So, yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say to that. Man, I think the traditions have their place, but I think they also sometimes need to be kicked to the curb.
I think if there's a tradition you're going to hold tight to, it's the fact that when expectations are not met, that what you extend is grace.
Yep,
I think
that's a good tradition.
I think the tradition is that when your traditions get broken and you want to pout, you're going to stop and you're going to take a breath and you're going to grieve that and you're going to feel that, and then you're going to move forward in kindness.
And do something else.
And do something else. And I think that the tradition is that in every single situation, we are going to bring the actual themes of Advent of peace, joy, hope, and love into every met expectation and every unmet expectation, every kept tradition and every broken tradition, that we're bringing those things into that no matter what happens. Because the end of the day, the Christmas season is not about who is around your table. It is not about the food that is on the table. It is not about any of whether caroling happened or it didn't. It is about something that is much, much bigger and much more important than those things. And so I think that the tradition we have is that in this season, no matter what life throws at us, we're going to respond with those themes that last.
Yeah.
Deal?
Deal.
You're pretty cute. So, friends, we love you. I personally am loving this holiday season. I feel like we've done a lot of Christmas markets.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing more.
Yeah.
I will say you guys know we're going to Florida here in just over a week, like 9 days. I have no clue, literally no idea what Christmas traditions are in Florida.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I assume they have holiday markets. They don't have snow. We're not making snowmen, and so, but it's like, whatever it is.
Although they have been hanging out in the 30s, and that is not okay. Florida, get it together.
Please. But whatever we do, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's because we're going to be together, and we're going to be with family, and it's going to be great.
Friends, we love you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a part of our community. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on this. And again, remember those 2 questions I asked earlier. Just kind of reflect on that stuff. Because I think the thing is that I can be better with all of this. And so can all of us.
Yeah.
And so let's be better.
Let's be better.
All right, friends. We love you, and we'll see you on the next LeggLife podcast.
Bye.